What is coaching-based leadership?
Coaching-based leadership is when all the leaders and managers in an organization are able to use the basic block and tackling skills that a professional coach would use in day-to-day conversations. So let me give you an example of how that works. Because right now, most leaders and managers in organizations use a real problem-solving way of looking at things. They look at people, they look at situations, and they see problems that they want to fix. Let's face it, most of us don't want to be seen as problems to be fixed. We want to be seen for what we are, people who have potential to learn, grow, and develop. So what we do at Cilliant is really help you integrate coaching right into the fabric of the organization so that all of your leaders and managers start to see people exactly as potential and engage them in coaching conversations that help them create new insights, see new possibilities for learning and growing, and most importantly, it engages these folks in taking action to actually realize the potential that is part of who they are. That's what coaching-based leadership is.
How different is your approach? Many organizations are using the word coaching. What's special about your organization?
You know, we base our model or approach on the creation of insight. In fact, what we say is that coaching is the translation of insight, that aha experience where you learn something new, into meaningful action, which engages people to take steps forward in order to realize potential. And we do this by using something called untying the knot. Everyone loves it. We've taught it to CEOs, we've taught it to supervisors on plant floors, we've taught it to salespeople, we've taught it to everyone in the organization, and we've never run into anyone that didn't understand it, love it, but most importantly, feel very comfortable leaving a workshop and using it.
You referenced block and tackle in the beginning answer. Would you describe your method as block and tackle, or how would you describe it?
Well, I would say that what we do is give people a different lens to look through. So when they're looking at a situation from a coaching perspective, instead of seeing a problem and trying to identify what they're going to do with it, they see what we call our knots. Basically, people get stuck. That's what keeps them from doing things. And so we say instead of reefing on that knot and telling people what to do, we invite them to use different coaching approaches, like asking questions that create insight, or sharing observations, or maybe sometimes just telling stories that help shift people's perception in order for them to see a new possibility. And it's simple enough that people feel comfortable using it in any kind of situation. Yet the model is comprehensive enough that it can be used whenever someone's stuck, whether it's your CEO or whether, it's your child even. It's a model that is just incredibly easily to apply.
What kinds of organizations do you work with?
Most typically we work with larger corporate organizations, usually about $1 billion or higher. We've worked with the likes of Caterpillar, with Bridgestone, but we also work with smaller organizations as well. Mostly what's important with our clients is that they have a desire to create change within the very culture of the organization and to really instill coaching capabilities in their leaders.
So how would you distinguish what you do?
Well, I think the really important thing to understand about coaching is that it's not just a tool. It's not just a way of getting people to comply with what you want them to do. Coaching is actually a way of looking at the world, seeing potential, and then most importantly, using insight, that aha experience to engage people. If you actually look at the brain research, people who have an aha experience are engaged to take action. People who are just given a fact really don't know what to do with it. So our coaching approach is based on the creation of insight. And we do that in a way that's really memorable, simple, but highly impactful. And that's what you need, because you know what, it doesn't matter what the model is. If people don't use it, it's a waste of time. And I think what's really interesting and unique about our approach is that it gets traction in organizations. In fact, we just did a presentation with Bridgestone at the Linkage Best of OD Practice, or Best of OD Summit. And our clients stood up and shared story after story after story of examples of how people from the CEO of this particular division right down to the plant floor and everyone in between were using our untying the knot approach to coaching to make a difference. In fact, the impact study showed that everyone, 98% of the people that we had taught Coaching in the Moment to, this is our workshop that we use to instill coaching capabilities, 98% of them reported that they were applying what they've learned. These are incredible numbers. These are numbers that make a difference in organizations. And they were using them in really fascinating ways to get people to take more risks, to have the kinds of conversations they knew they should have, but they were afraid to have. In fact, a couple of senior leaders even related a story where they'd been having some friction working together, and they took the coaching approach and had a dialogue about that very problem and started working with each other in very new ways. That's traction, and that's what insight creates. And if you're not getting insight from the model that you're using, you are missing the richness that's available from taking a coaching approach. Because coaching really does have the capability to transform leadership and therefore transform your organization, but only if you're getting at the insight that it creates. If you're not, you're losing that juice, and that's really too bad, I think.